Hey, it's the optimistic quadriplegic Keystone, and I am live. It's February 2019. Spoiler alert: I'm still in a wheelchair, but I am getting better, walking a lot stronger. But I know we've covered everything chronologically, but I wanted to jump ahead to an experience I had that maybe if you have a loved one or if you're in a wheelchair you're concerned about. I took my first airplane ride over the weekend. I'm down here in Florida, as you can see by the nice background. But we drove to Florida, but then we flew back for a wedding. And I just wanted to let you know, bottom line, flying on an airplane in a wheelchair is easy, very easy. Um, we left Tampa and getting through TSA is no problem. They have to wipe down my wheelchair as if, you know, they wipe your hands to see if there's any explosives. So they did it with the wheelchair. No big deal. They weren't too concerned about me not being able to stand up. So that was no problem. Um, I had I have three different kinds of wheelchairs. I have a power chair, which is this one. And if I were to take this on the airplane, they'd have to stow it underneath, and that could be problematic with the baggage handlers. I have another wheelchair, manual wheelchair, that has two different kinds of wheels. One that's a power wheel that I can push and get along pretty well. It's got a lithium battery in it, which I think is okay to take on a plane, but my first time I didn't do all the research, and so I didn't take that. So I have another set of just regular wheels that you would see in any basic wheelchair. Problem with that was that Sarah had to push me everywhere. I am unable to move in that wheelchair. So anyways, bottom line is what they do is, good news is you get to be the first one on the plane, so there's always room for your overhead baggage. And that's all we took was one suitcase as a carry-on. Didn't check anything. But we flew Delta, and they could not have been nicer. Shout out to all the employees at Delta. When I signed up for my seat, we were like in row 26, I want to say, and I got an aisle seat, which is important because it would be hard to slide over those two other seats. When we got there, Sarah, as soon as someone was at the desk, Sarah went up there and explained the situation, and they moved us up to row 10, which is the row right behind first class, and I had extra leg room, so that was nice. And she also had the person sitting in the window seat get on board early so they wouldn't have to crawl over me. So that was a great deal. So what happens is, what they do is I take this wheelchair down the jetway and get right to the door of the airplane, and they have employees, usually male, nice strong guys, and because the aisles are so narrow in an airplane, they would never get this chair down there. So they lift me, they transfer me. They expected very little out of me, but I did push with my legs, but they would be able to lift me into this really narrow, uncomfortable chair. They strapped me in, and then they pulled me down the aisle because it's narrow. Get me through all those narrow seats. Then same thing. They lifted me out of that chair and put me into the airplane chair. What we did was, for comfort, and we had been advised to take the cushion off of my wheelchair and sit on that cushion in the airplane. So I did that. No issues. It got me in there. Very polite. Now the only bummer about the whole thing is, when you get to your destination, we are the last ones off the plane. And you'd be surprised how long it takes Our planes weren't big. I think they said 132 passengers. So it takes a long time to get 132 people off an airplane. So we sat there and we did that. And as soon as that last person is off, here comes the guys with that same, you call it an aisle chair to get me through there. So it took some manipulation to get my feet in the right place, but same thing. Guy would stand behind the seat. Another person would grab my legs and lift me up and put me on that chair and wheel me out of the airplane. And lo and behold, there would be my wheelchair in the exact, I don't know where the wheelchair goes. I don't think it gets stowed underneath, but they didn't even fold it up or take it apart. As far as you could tell, nothing was missing. So they unloaded me back into my wheelchair, same way, lifted me. Now we're in Detroit after being in Florida for 6 weeks. And in that jetway, it's not sealed. And boy, was it cold. We got a rude awakening to everything in Michigan who've been suffering the last 4 or 5 weeks. And so then it was on the wheelchair. They wheeled me down the jetway. They pushed me down the jetway, turned me over to Sarah, and we had rented a van. My daughter-in-law picked me up, and off we went, no problem. And it was the same thing coming back. Didn't get quite as good of a seat. We were in a we were row 14. They moved us up again, but I didn't have that extra leg room. So that was a little bit more difficult. And there was someone that was going to be in the window seat, but they hadn't told him ahead of time. And they moved him. And so, and I don't think he knew it. The flight attendant had radioed ahead to tell the person that was going to sit in our row to, move them back. There was a few extra seats, so they moved them back. And so the gentleman got to our row still thinking he was going to sit with us. And he was a bigger guy, and he wasn't going to be able to, he'd have to straddle my legs to get to his seat. And so I think we did him a favor, but he was kind of upset. We said, well, check with the flight attendant because you're going to sit further back. And I think what upset him was that he found out he was going to be in a middle seat. But he didn't take it out on us. He just said, 19B, because he knew that meant middle seat. But we found out later that he was further back, and I don't think he was in the middle. So everything was good. Same thing, on the chair, no problems. The aisle chair, got off last. No big deal. Small price to pay. So yeah, what we did was, just to be certain, but maybe we didn't need to do it, we put labels on everything that could come off the chair. The footrest could come off, the back of the chair could come off, because then you could fold it up nice. But like I said, I don't think they even did that. So I don't know where it went. It magically disappeared into some wheelchair closet. But it was always ready for us. Everything was smooth. And so I would say, don't be afraid to fly. I think next time I'm going to do more research. And if I can get the lithium battery wheels on there with no problem, I will do that just so I won't be helpless when I'm on the ground at our destination. I want to be able to move myself around. So we'll go back to picking up my story, leaving Mary Free Bed after this, but I wanted to get this information out to you. So this is the Optimistic Quadriplegic. I'm optimistic about flying now, so even more things to be happy about. So I love all of you, and keep watching, tell your friends, and I will see you real soon.